when you are in a collective of strong designers, not just one designer, it's like a music label. They have artists under a label. You can't lose. You cannot lose. What is happening, you guys? It's your boy LDAWB coming at you with a new video and a congratulatory video, really, of saying thank you for helping me reach 1,000 subscribers. I know it's not a lot. Why are you celebrating over 1,000 subscribers? It's a big deal to me because basically over a year ago I decided to take a shift in my channel, and I wanted to focus on art because I was so focused on doing video games and speed running, and it wasn't who I was, even though I love those kinds of things. And so with the help of my girlfriend and my dad and basically other myriad of people, we decided to just go ahead and focus on the art, focus on what I love, focus on the design of art, not the gameplay, but the design of art, video game art specifically, and showcase my love for it. So thank you for helping me reach 1,000. Again, it's not a lot, but I just want to say thank you. And so today is a special day and a special video for a special artist, and that artist goes by the name of Akihiko Yoshida, and he is basically best known for his FF Tactics, Final Fantasy 12 Tactics Ogre, and obviously the infamous Nier Automata. And so I want to really talk about my intro to him in myriad of Tetsuya Nomura and Kinu and all these other artists that I've talked about, and realizing that in hindsight, really all of these artists, it's not just Tetsuya Nomura and Kinu, all of them have attributed to my growth and my inspiration and my journey, if you will, of bettering my own craft and trying to be more courageous in terms of style. But yeah, I hope I'm able to continue doing these because I love to talk about my influences heavily. And yeah, so this is from Tactics Ogre, absolutely breathtaking picture. But we're going to start all the way back to the genesis of this, and we're going to start with Final Fantasy Tactics, this little small game, the strategy game, right? Came out right after FF7, and so right after the craze of that kind of imploded and became what it was, a slew of games came out, and this game was one of them. And I remember looking specifically at these characters, and I was fascinated over the fact that all of these characters, and this is from Final Fantasy Tactics, all of these characters were drawn exquisitely. It's not even a word. Exquisite, with the exception of one missing element, and that element is called the no-nose era, or the no-nose element. Why am I talking about this? Well, I'm glad you asked, and I will be happy to answer that question. This was a craze, and I remember this specifically in this era. And here's a picture of Tetsuya Nomura's Brave Fencer Musashi, which came out in 1998, 99. I remember that. But he implemented the no-nose formula. And I remember also just from the craze of FF7 again, right? Copying the deformity of the characters, the simplicity of the aesthetics of the body, and it just kind of went amok. It just kind of went wild. Obviously, without Final Fantasy 9, I'm not saying that they didn't have noses, but the execution of the no-nose, and that's very weird. No-nose era was prominent, and it had a great effect on me. And around this time, I did not know who this particular artist was until the Vagrant story came out. Now, I had mentioned before in my top 10s that upon looking at the Vagrant story cover, the PS1 cover, which was one of the best PS1 covers in existence, I started to pay attention to this guy. Okay, I said, okay, he's the other side. He's the other side. Tetsuya was one side, Akihiko was on the other side, and I learned who he was, learned his name, and this great piece of Ashley here, Ashley Riot. I loved his sepia brown pencil aesthetics. That's what really hooked me in. And so fast forward, I did not play Final Fantasy Tactics, the original one, but Tactics Advance I actually played fully. And I've seen a more playful side of Akihiko this time, a more of a charm. It was like taking that Kingdom Hearts kind of feel, and I liked it. I liked that approach. I love his wavy aesthetic. I love his vibe. I love his motion and his pencil aesthetics that he tends to keep very, 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 very consistent. And so he was on the Ivalice side. And speaking of Ivalice, I cannot go in this video without describing the importance of Final Fantasy XII. Him being the main character and him just basically giving him the ability to take that side of Ivalice by storm. And by storm, I mean he went nuts. And to this day, that game, in terms of in-game graphics, you want to talk about Arcane, you want to talk about all those other games? No. This game still implemented the UV maps to in-game models. Still to this day, one of the best in-games. And it's all thanks to Akihiko and his eloquent designs. And so fast forward, I know I'm going through this really fast, but fast forward to Final Fantasy III. He did a remake, or rather his revised characters upon FF3. This is the Onion Knight, which is probably his most popular. And then going to Bravely Default. And so Bravely Default was again allowing him to take the helms of character design. That whole game exhibits the no-nos element, right? When I say no-nos, again, I'm not saying that the characters had no nose. They had a nose, but it wasn't even a thing. And I felt like Bravely Default was basically giving him, again, the reins and the abilities to just create those characters. And again, here we are again, keeping his pencil aesthetic, keeping that vibe of just that soft sepia warm tone. And of course, fast forward all the way to his probably his most popular work, Nier Automata, and his creation of 2B and some of these really well drawn characters. And I'm glad that this came out to give him more prestige. But yeah, props to that. And of course, he did Nier Replicant as well. And so again, keeping that pencil aesthetic and just gradually seeing the improvement of his craft, and going forward to Final Fantasy XIV, and him being one of the character designers along with Kazuya and amongst other artists as well. 14 was great. And then him just, you know, he is unique. His color use is very unique, very pastel, but very unique and very integral in the world of Ivalice again, and the world of Final Fantasy. And so I cannot go without talking about Tactics Ogre. Tactics Ogre was a very influential game, considered by many to be a very influential game, and I did not know that he started with this game. And this picture here, I want to show this to you, is a picture that he did in 1995 on the cover of Tactics Ogre. And so already, compared to now, his artwork is way different, more detailed, more keeping more of the realistic aesthetic. And I was blown away. And so fast forward, there was a picture of this Tactics Ogre Reborn that just launched, and this picture was paying homage to the picture that you saw last. And once I knew that, I was blown away. I was like, what? That's incredible. What's even more credible is the fact that he made that in 1995. And I have to say that I probably prefer the one in 1995 over that one, but they're both great. Anyway, I know that was fast. And I want to thank you guys again for listening to me talk about these things. And I feel like Akihiko is essentially important in this day and age. Here we are with the no-nose aesthetic, as you can see. And if you know, like, when someone is responsible of creating a wave, and what I mean wave, I mean style over substance, you have to appreciate that. You have to appreciate the fact that you don't have to be the greatest technical artist. You can just be the most stylistic artist. And I feel now, with the latest entry of Final Fantasy 16 that's coming out, I feel, and before I even talk about that, when 16 was announced, I had thought that Akihiko was in charge of that. And obviously I was wrong. It was Kazuya, which is a phenomenal designer who's helped Akihiko draw phenomenal artworks for Final Fantasy 14, is taking the helm on 16. But I wanted to emphasize this for a second and to kind of illuminate on the fact that Akihiko's influence was very prominent, and even in Kazuya's work. And this artwork is just, no question, it's just bombastic. It's just amazing. But you can feel the influence of Akihiko. Some people are still not even aware that it's Kazuya, and aware that it's still Akihiko, but it's still Akihiko even though Kazuya is doing it. And Kazuya, along with Toshiyuki is someone that I will do another video on, who deserves a spotlight, who deserves attention. All those guys and Evilise is important and is integral and is so vital in this realm of Final Fantasy. And why I'm bringing it up is because in the past, and when Tetsuya Nomura was doing Final Fantasy VII, there was another team or another division creating other Final Fantasy games. The idea is to release Final Fantasy games every year. And how do you do that? Well, you separate them into two teams. When you are in a collective of strong designers, not just one designer, it's like a music label. They have artists under a label. You can't lose. You cannot lose. And so you need the collectiveness. You need the collective vision of different designers. And that's basically the pathway to success. It worked before, and it's going to, and I see it going forward again. And it's really thanks to Akihiko. So Akihiko, I really hope that you keep continuing to do marvelous pieces of work. Thank you for being such an influence to us, and I hope to see more of your stellar work. And thank you. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much. I know this is a lot longer than expected, but I will have more coming soon. I have not forgotten about Crisis Core. I am still in the works of doing that, and I'll keep you guys posted in the meantime. So with that said, I'll catch y'all later in the next one. My Patrons, I love you all. Thank y'all. And I'll catch y'all later in the next one. Peace.